whatever you want. Good morning, grade 10 students. In this session, we're going to start with our new chapter talking about the genetic polymorphism. This chapter, we're going to do about some genetic terms. Already you know most of them. So these genetic terms, we're going to use them in our chapter about the genetic polymorphism. What the meaning of genetic polymorphism? Polymorphism meaning differences. So all the people, they are different genetically. They have different DNA. That's why we look different. We don't look alike unless they are identical twins and so on. So here we are talking about genetic polymorphism. Before we start, let's talk about this slide. In this slide, we're going to talk about the uh, the cell, the human cell. This cell is going to be composed of the nucleus, and also it's composed of cytoplasm, and it's composed of cell membrane. This is an animal cell. Always and always and always, whenever we have any cell, this cell should be drawn using a pencil inside a box and given a title. So here we have a nucleus, which is the mastermind of the cell. It's the mastermind of the cell. It's the, for example, it's the most important part of the cell. The cell without the nucleus, it will die. And we have the membrane of the cell. This is the cell membrane. And also we have the internal medium is called the cytoplasm. This is the animal cell. So here, how do the scientists prove the location of the genetic information? How do they prove that we have genetic information where it's located? How do they prove this? Let's see. They moved to this experiment. How did the scientists prove that the nucleus is the carrier of the genetic information? All the information related to genetics, your height, your color, your, for example, your shape of your ears, your nose, and others, all of them, they are located in the nucleus. How do they prove this? They have three mice. First of all, they got three mice, a black one, a white one, and another gray one. What did they do? They got a cell from the black, a cell from the white, and then they extract the nucleus from the black. So this nucleus is from the black mouse. And then what did they do? They injected into the cell of the white. They inject the nucleus into the cell of the white. So here, the cell, the black mouse cell, the cell from the black mouse, we get the nucleus only from it. So we extract only the nucleus. So this nucleus is from the black mouse. So this is the nucleus of the black mouse. We injected into the cell from the white. This is called anucleated cell. Anucleated cell. What is the meaning of anucleated cell? Meaning that it's a cell without a nucleus. So you have to pay attention here, please. This is an anucleated cell from the white mouse. So white mouse, we get from it a cell without a nucleus, so called anucleated cell, meaning that a cell without a nucleus. Then what did we do? We transferred the black mouse nucleus into the white mouse cell. So here the cell, it contains the nucleus from the black now. So we transplanted into the cell of the white mouse. So we transplanted here. So it contains the nucleus from the black and the cell membrane and the cytoplasm from the white. Here we continue. What did we do next? We transplant them and then we graft them, or we transport this embryo, this embryonic cell containing the nucleus from the black and the cell from the white. We transplant it into a gray mouse. This gray mouse is said to be the foster mother, al-Umm al-Hadira. So this is the foster mother meaning that it's only going to put this embryonic cell in the uterus. So So it's going to put this embryonic cell inside the uterus. So this is gray mouse is called the foster mother. The big surprise is the birth of the mouse, it gives black mouse. So this is the big surprise. We had a black mouse. How? Let's we explain this. First, we get embryonic cell from the black mouse. We extract only the nucleus from the black mouse cell. So we get only the nucleus, meaning that the nucleus is from the black mouse. And then we inject this nucleus into the anucleated cell. What the meaning of anucleated? Meaning that it lacks a nucleus. So anucleated from the white, and we inject the nucleus from the black inside it. So here the result is the nucleus is formed where? From the black mouse. And other cell compartments like the cell membrane and the cytoplasm, they are from the white mouse. And then we transplant it into the gray mouse. As we said, it's the gray mouse. We transplant it into the uterus of the gray mouse, and it's called the foster mother. Here, the result was the black. So here, what can we conclude from here? That the nucleus is the carrier of the genetic information. The information or the genetic information, they are located inside the nucleus, and they are not found neither inside the cytoplasm or the cell membrane of the white, nor inside the uterus of the gray. So let's do interpret. Interpret, as I said before, it's analyzed with indication. So after injecting the nucleus of the cell of a black mouse into the anucleated cell of the white mouse. So this is unnucleated, meaning that it lacks the nucleus of a white mouse, and we transplant the zygote into the gray mouse. What is the result? The result is a black baby mouse is born. What does this indicate? This indicates that the genetic information coding for the color or coding for the fur or coding for the coat, all of them, they have the same meaning. They does not depend on the cytoplasm of the white or the uterus of the gray mouse, the foster mother, but rather it depends on the nucleus of the cell. From here, what can we deduce? We can deduce that the nucleus is the carrier of the genetic information, and the information they are found inside the nucleus. So this is the structure of a cell containing cell membrane, containing the nucleus, centrosome, cytoplasm, mitochondria, which is the source of energy. This is that I said to you before, it's the hot dog. It's like the hot dog, for example. So this is the mitochondria. This is the source of energy inside the cell. Now, let's move deeply inside the nucleus. Inside the nucleus, we have these X-shaped structures. These X-shaped structures, they are referred to the chromosomes. So chromosomes, they are found inside the nucleus, and they are responsible for carrying the genetic information. So the genetic information, they are located inside the nucleus, and to be more specific, they are carried by the chromosomes. These chromosomes, they are X-shaped. They look like the letter X. They are found inside the nucleus, and they are responsible for carrying the genetic information. So first of all, we talked about the carrier of the genetic information. We said that it's the nucleus, first of all. Then we move to the type of the, the structure that is carrying the nucleus. It's called the chromosome. So the chromosome is the carrier of the genetic information, and it's found inside the nucleus. So now we move deeply. First we said the nucleus in general, then we move that the chromosome is the carrier of the genetic information. And this chromosome, what do we have? We have two chromatids, two sister chromatids. What are these two sister chromatids? This is the one sister chromatid, and this is the other sister chromatids. These two, they are called sister chromatids. So these two sister chromatids, they are attached at the middle. They are attached at the middle here, in the middle of the side. This is the attachment side. This is the attachment side. It's called the centromere. So this is the centromere. It's the attachment side of the two sister chromatids. And here we have something called the short arm. This is the short part. It's called the short arms, or it's called the P arm, or the long arm, which is called the Q arm. So this is the structure of the chromosome. We have to know it. It has centromere, which is the attachment side of the two sister chromatids. And also we have the long arm, which is called the Q arm, and the short arm, which is called the P arm. Each chromosome is made up of DNA. DNA is the deoxyribose nucleic acid. This is the DNA. It's responsible for the genetic information. So each chromosome is made up of DNA, and it's composed of proteins are called histones and non-histones. Not going to talk about histones and non-histones, but I'm going to talk about DNA. So DNA is the deoxyribose nucleic acid. It's made up two identical sister chromatids joined together at the centromere. So these are the two sister chromatids. This is the first sister chromatid, and this is the second sister chromatid. They are attached in the middle. These are is called the centromere. Each chromosome has a short arm and a long arm. So here the centromere, this is the constricted region near the center of the human chromosome. It's the attachment site of the two sister chromatids. So this is the attachment site of the two sister chromatids. We call it the centromere. It's the attachment site of the two sister chromatids. Let's move now to talk about the chromosome. Inside the chromosome, we have many genes. So these genes, they are found at the same loci. For example, here we have the hair color genes found here at the first sister chromatid. On the second, it should be on the same position. They can be on different positions. So this is called the hair color gene. They are found at the same loci. What the meaning of loci? It's the plural of locus. This means that is the same position. Also, the eye color gene is found here. So it should be on the second sister chromatids at the same site or region. The height gene also is found at this region of this chromosome, so it would be at the same site in the second chromosome. Gene 4, 5, 6, and so on. So all of them should be at the same loci. So what is the gene? Gene is known to be a part of a chromosome. It's a part of the chromosome, meaning that it's a segment of the DNA. It's a part of DNA. It's called the gene. They said the eye color gene, the hair color gene, the height gene, the gene of the level of thinking. We have the gene of, for example, the color of the hair, and so on. All of them, all these genes, they are part of chromosome. They are a segment of DNA. They are responsible for the appearance of specific traits. These traits are, as I said, like the hair color, the skin color, the shape of the eyes, the nose, and so on. Every gene has a specific locus. So every gene has a specific locus, meaning that a specific position. The two sister chromatids, they carry the same alleles at the same genes. What the meaning of allele? We'll discover what the meaning of allele. So here the genes, they are found in this region. So here genes, they are found at the same loci. So they carry the same information at the same loci. So scientists and biologists, to make it simple, they can draw it with the one chromatid only, since they have the same information. What is the meaning of allele? Before we start to talk about the allele, what is the allele? I'm going to make it simple. Gene and allele. I told my students that the gene and allele, they are different. They are not the same. Gene, for example, we have a car model. Let's say we have the model, let's say Mercedes. Okay? Mercedes is the gene. And the models, they are the alleles. For example, we have model E320, 300S, 300SE. These are Mercedes models, and these are called the alleles. They are different versions or different forms of the gene. For example, gene of the eye color. What do we have different models? We have brown eye allele, we have hazel eye allele, we have blue eye allele, we have black eye allele, and so on. So these are called the alleles. They are the versions or the forms of the gene. Gene of the hair color, we have the black hair allele, the brown hair allele, the blonde hair allele, for example, the red hair allele. All of them, they are versions or they are forms of the gene. So we call them alleles. So gene is the big model or the big trend, and the models, they are called the alleles. Before we move, we have to talk about the different types of cells in our body. It's known that we have two important types of cells inside our body. We have something called the somatic cells and something called the sex cells or the reproductive cells. What are the somatic cells? Somatic cells are versus the sex cells or the reproductive cells. Somatic cells, they are all the body cells except the gametes. What are the gametes? The sperm and the ovum. So all the body cells, they are somatic, like skin cell, hair cell, liver cell, pancreas cell, small intestine cell, the hair cell, eye cell, for example, the hair cell, the nose cells, the cells of the mouth, the cells of the stomach, all of them, they are somatic cells. They are called somatic. However, the gametes, they are called sex cells. Example about the gametes, they are the sperm and the ovum. So the sperm and the ovum are called the gametes, and they are called the sex cells. So sex cells, they are the gametes, they are the sperm and the ovum. However, the somatic cells, they are diploid. What the meaning of diploid cells? Meaning that we have two copies of each chromosome. That's what it's called di. Di means two. So diploid cells, two copies of each chromosome. However, the sex cells, they are haploid cells. Haploid meaning that they have one copy of each chromosome. So one copy of each chromosome, so it's called a haploid cell. Okay, so let's repeat this please. So first of all, let's talk about the diploid cell. Diploid cells, they are the somatic cells. They are all the body cells except the gametes. They have two copies of each chromosome. However, moving to the sex cells or the reproductive cells, these sex cells are the haploid cells. They are the gametes, the sperm and the ovum, and they have only one copy of each chromosome. So this is the difference between the sex cells and the somatic cells. Let's move to more properties of these different types of cells, let's move to the number of chromosomes. Number of chromosomes, we said we have two copies of each chromosome. So number of chromosomes is represented at 2n, where in a human 2n equal 46. So 2n equal 46. However, if it's haploid, you have only one copy of each chromosome. So one copy of each chromosome, so it's 1n. So 1n equal to 23 in a human. So as a summary, let's repeat this quickly. Somatic cells, they are diploid. They are all the body cells except the gametes. They have two copies of each chromosome, and number of chromosomes is 2n. However, the haploid cells, haploid, they are the gametes, they are the sex cells, the sperm and the ovum. We have one copy of each chromosome, and in human, one and it's equal to 23. So this is the haploid cells and the diploid, which are the somatic and the sex cells. So now let's move to talk about other properties for the genetic polymorphism about these cells. How can we know that these cells are haploid or diploid? If you look to these cells, if you look to these cells, they are having the one copy of each chromosome. So these cells, they contain one copy of each chromosome, one copy of this, one copy of this, and there is one copy of each chromosome. So they are referred to as haploid cells. Haploid, they have one copy of each chromosome. So number of chromosome, it's 1n. So 1n, meaning that we have one copy of each chromosome. How many chromosomes? We have four. So 1n equal to 4. However, here we have two copies of each chromosome. Two copies, and two copies. So these are called diploid cells. Diploid cells meaning that we have two copies of each chromosome. So they are called diploid cells. Diploid cells, they contain two copies of each chromosomes. So here the diploid cells, you have 2n, it's equal to how many? 2n equal to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So 2n, it's equal to 6. So this is the diploid cell. In the diploid cells, we have two copies of each chromosome, as he said. So they carry the same genes, but they don't carry always the same alleles. Maybe they carry different alleles at the same locus. So they are said to be homologous chromosomes. When they carry the same genes, but not identical alleles, not sure identical alleles, so they are called homologous chromosomes. So these are homologous chromosomes, pair 1, pair 2, and pair 3. One of these chromosomes is inherited from the mother, and the other is inherited from the father. The chromosome that is inherited from the mother is called maternal chromosome. So the one that is inherited from the mother is called maternal chromosome. However, the other that's inherited from the father is called paternal chromosome. So these we have paternal chromosome and maternal chromosomes. All of our chromosomes they are inherited from the father and the mother. So they have the paternal origin and the maternal origin. Always maternal, keep it in your mind. Maternal it's mother. So maternal it's mama and the paternal it's papa. It's from the father. So here we have two chromosomes in each pair. Chromosome from the paternal origin from the father, and the chromosome from the maternal origin it's from the mother. So here we have the two sister chromosomes. or the two chromosomes, they are inherited from each of the parents and they are termed paternal and maternal. We said that the pair of homologous chromosomes it carried the same genes, but not necessarily the same alleles. The two sister chromatids they are said to be identical when they carry the same genes and they carry the same allele. So identical sister chromosomes when they carry the same gene and the same alleles, or we have two sister chromatids. We have blue eye allele and blue eye allele. They are identical sister chromatids. Another sister chromosome, blue eye allele and brown, sorry, eye allele and brown eye allele. So are they said to be identical sister chromatids since they carry the same gene and the same allele. So the chromosome that come from the mother, as I said, it's called maternal chromosome. However, the chromosome that come from the father, it's called paternal chromosome. So these are the chromosome, one from the mother and one from the father. So they are said to be maternal and the father is said to be paternal. So these they are homologous but not identical. Why? Because they have different alleles, blue allele and the green allele. So homologous and not identical. Also, we have the gene of the level of thinking and many other genes. So considering the gene of the eye color, if we have two alleles, green allele and the brown allele, what are the possible combinations? Maybe we'll have two brown alleles, one from the paternal and one from the maternal. Maybe we will have one brown allele and one green allele. Or we will have green allele and brown allele. Oh, wait a minute. What's the difference between these? The green and the brown, brown and the green. Wait a minute. This brown is from the maternal origin in person 2, and the green is from the paternal. In person 3, the opposite. Green allele is from the paternal and brown is from the maternal. So here the difference between these two. So pay attention to this please. Okay? So here we are talking about different different inheritance, different modes of inheritance, either from paternal or from maternal origin. So these they are referred to as the paternal or maternal. So here in this we talk about the chromosome that is inherited from the father and the mother. So I said in person one, it's inherited from the father, so it's called paternal. Whenever it's inherited from the mother, it's called maternal. So person two, pay attention. Brown allele, it's inherited from the mother, and the green allele from the father. While the opposite in person three, the green allele from the mother and the brown from the father. And the last one, person four, we have green allele and the green allele from the father and the mother. These two persons they carry the same allele, so they are identical. So let's start with person one. Person one is two identical alleles. So this person is said to be homozygous or is said to be pure for the eye color. So homozygous or pure. However, person two it carries one brown and one green. So it has two different alleles for the eye color. So this person is said to be heterozygous, or it's called the hybrid for the eye color. So whenever it carries two identical alleles, it's said to be homozygous or pure. So we have to know both homozygous or pure. While if we have two different colors, so we have heterozygous or hybrid. Person 3, we have heterozygous or hybrid, since we have two different alleles. And in person 4, we have two identical alleles. So here we are talking about the homozygous or pure.